Genesis 12 tells us a story that changed history forever. It's the story of Abram, a man God chose to be the father of a great nation. God had a special plan for Abram, a plan that would bless people all over the world. Imagine being Abram. You're living your life, and suddenly God speaks to you. He tells you to leave everything you know and go to a new land, a land you've never seen, full of uncertainty and challenges. God promises to bless you and make your name great. What would you do? Abram didn't hesitate. He trusted God completely. He packed his things, gathered his family, and began an amazing journey. A journey that would not only change his life, but also the course of history. He left his home, his country, and everything he knew, everything familiar to him, all because he believed in God's promise. A promise that seemed impossible, but in which he had unshakable faith. Abram's story teaches us about faith. A faith that isn't based on what we see, but on what we believe. It's about trusting God, even when we don't understand everything. Even when the path is uncertain and full of challenges. It's about taking that first step of obedience, knowing that God will be with us every step of the way. A lesson of faith and trust that is still important today. God called Abram to leave Haran, his homeland, and travel to a land called Canaan. This land was unknown to Abram. He had never been there before. But God promised to give this land to Abram and his descendants. It was a long and difficult journey. Abram and his family traveled with their flocks and herds. They faced challenges along the way, but Abram never lost faith. He knew that God was with him, guiding and protecting him. This journey marked the beginning of a new chapter in Abram's life, a chapter full of challenges and blessings. Abram's willingness to leave everything behind is inspiring. It teaches us that true faith means following God's plan, even when it means stepping outside our comfort zones. God made an incredible promise to Abram, a promise that would change the course of history. He said, "I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." Genesis 12, 2-3. This promise wasn't just for Abram, but for all his descendants. It was for all his offspring, for generations to come, ensuring an eternal legacy. God promised to create a great nation through Abram, a nation that would bless the whole world with its influence and example. This promise, known as a covenant, was a solemn agreement between God and Abram, sealed with faith and hope. It was a promise based on God's faithfulness and love, a sign of his eternal commitment. The covenant God made with Abram is the foundation of our faith today, a constant reminder of his word. It shows us that God keeps his promises and that his love extends to all people, regardless of their background or situation. Worship and challenges. Abram in Canaan. When Abram arrived in Canaan, he built altars to worship God. This land wasn't always easy. There were times of famine, times when food and water were scarce. During a difficult time, Abram had to take his family to Egypt to find food. Although he faced challenges, Abram remained faithful to God. Even in a new land, Abram continued to honor God. He built altars and worshipped him, showing his gratitude and dependence on God. Building altars was a way for Abram to remember God's presence and promises, even in the midst of difficulties. Seeking refuge Abram in Egypt. While in Egypt, Abram faced another challenge. Fearing for his safety, Abram asked his wife Sarai to say that she was his sister. This led the Pharaoh to take Sarai to his house. However, God protected Sarai. He sent plagues upon the Pharaoh and his household. The Pharaoh then realized his mistake and sent Abram and Sarai away with gifts and blessings. This experience showed Abram that God's protection extended even to difficult situations. Even when Abram made mistakes, God's faithfulness never wavered. The story of Abram and Sarai in Egypt teaches us that God is with us even when we face difficult decisions. It reminds us that He is a God of forgiveness and protection. Unshakable faith, a lesson for us. Throughout his journey, Abram's faith in God never wavered. He faced challenges and uncertainties, but he always remained obedient to God's call. Abram's story reminds us that faith isn't just about believing in God, it's about trusting Him with our lives. It's about following His plan, even when we don't fully understand it. Abram's life was a testament to his unshakable faith. He trusted in God's promises, even when they seemed impossible. He is remembered as the father of faith, a shining example of what it means to trust and obey God. Accepting the call, living out God's promise today. Like Abram, we are all called to follow God. This call may be different for each of us, but the essence remains the same. He has a plan and a purpose for each of our lives. Sometimes this plan may seem uncertain or challenging. This call may not be to a new land, but it may be to a new job, a new relationship, or even a new beginning in some aspect of our lives, or a new way of life. Every step we take in response to His call brings us closer to His purpose. God's call in our lives may require courage and trust. Sometimes, it may seem like we are walking in the dark. It may mean stepping out of our comfort zones and embracing the unknown. But it is in these moments that our faith is strengthened. When we respond to God's call with faith and obedience, we open ourselves to the blessings He has in store for us. We become part of His story, a story that is bigger than we can imagine, a story that began with Abram and continues to unfold in our lives today. We can find hope and inspiration in Abram's story, knowing that the same God who is faithful to him is faithful to us. We can trust in His promise and live with the certainty that He is with us every step of the way, knowing that the same God who was faithful to him is faithful to us.